She was the year above me. She was originally above me. It was the same year. Her mom. How many? Wow. Hello, everyone. Newfoundland, thank you for coming to the library today to celebrate with us. We are thrilled to have the opportunity to recognize Michael Crummey, winner of the 2025 Dublin Literary Award at this special event. My name is Rachel Head, and I'm the Newfoundland and Labrador Collections and Services Librarian at NL Public Library. I'll also be your host for this evening. First, I have a few housekeeping notes. So washrooms are located on the first floor where the children's library is, which can be accessed by using the elevators over there. And this is a live streamed event, and you can watch it on the NL Public Library's YouTube channel. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like to begin this evening with a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homeland of many diverse populations of Indigenous people who have contributed to 9,000 years of history, including the Beothuk on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province remains home to diverse Indigenous communities, including the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor their enduring presence, cultures, languages, and knowledge, which continue to shape this land. As someone who grew up in Newfoundland and Labrador and has had the privilege of returning, I am deeply grateful for all the memories, lessons, and inspiration this land and its Indigenous peoples have shared with me over the years. This land continues to inspire truly endless stories and boundless imaginations. To start us off, I'd like to introduce Joanne Earle. Joanne Earle is from Newfoundland with a diversified educational and work history. Her current incarnation is as a commercial property specialist for Cushman in Wakefield, Atlanta, trading commercial real estate throughout the entire province. She joined the St. John's Public Library's board in 2014 and assumed the treasurership in 2015. She also serves on the board of Downtown St. John's and is a member of several professional and industry organizations. Please welcome Joanne Earle.
I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you on behalf of the St. John's Public Library's board. Not only because I'm the granddaddy of the board right now, but also because I'm such a huge Michael Crummey fan. So distinguished
a little bit louder.
So distinguished guests, and that includes all of you, particularly Michael Crummey and also Bonnie, who put together the submission that got us all here this evening. I had to check back through 3 different email addresses to see when I had joined the St. John's Public Library's board. I had hesitantly reached out to Alan Goodrich then, and I thought it was 9 years, but it turned out to be 11. My dad used to say it takes 20 years to be 20 and 10 to be 30, which is about as good. I assumed the treasurership the year following, but I remember very vividly the day I joined the Newfoundland and Labrador public library system. I also grew up outside the overpass. My people are from Central, but we moved to Stephenville when I was a toddler. My parents had 4 children within 5 years. I was the 3rd child, but reasonably well adjusted. So I was rarely used to being singled out. My father came home early from work one day in 1971 and said, "Joanne, I need you to come with me." I was thrilled the day of the day. We got in the car and drove to Woodland Street and parked in front of the Kindale Public Library, a single-story wood frame building on New Estate. Dad said it was time to join the library, which had opened in 1971. And as an avid early reader, I was thrilled. But he also said I needed to get a particular book for him, Robert's Rules of Order. So my father's name is Robert. And I'll admit my enthusiasm waned slightly, as I realized that the whole point of this was that we were going to go and I was going to get a copy of his rules, which were apparently sufficient that it was worthy of publishing. But upon entering that nondescript building, my entire world changed. It was a building full of books that I had not yet read. I can't remember who was on the desk that day. It was probably Emily Fudge, because she was totally overshadowed when I was approached by the biggest man I had ever seen. Big in every way. He was tall, he was broad, he had a immense girth, he had these thick framed glasses, big black boots, and this resonant booming voice. And he came toward me and he welcomed me and introduced himself as Gilbert Higgins. He asked how he could assist. I explained my father's requirement, and he took me to the reference section, causing the entire wood frame building to shake. He took down a copy of Robert's Rules, which was as thick as I feared, and guided me to the front desk. He explained that as a member of the library, I was able to take out 4 books at a time and keep them for up to 2 weeks. And then he gave me a little 3x5 card and asked me to provide my name, address, phone number, etc. And then he handed me a pen. First time that I was going to use a pen and not a pencil. The first time I officially wrote my name in ink, making that first J, was momentous, allowing me access not just to that building full of information and entertainment, but providing some sort of indelibility to my little identity. Some obvious growth, maybe a coming of age. All of it complemented by Gilbert Higgins' perfect diction, excellent manners, and vague formality. Now, for those of you that know of or know Gilbert, it will be no surprise that a young girl arriving, requesting a volume on parliamentary procedure, we became firm friends. And while he passed in 1998, he continues to be a major influence in my life. He not only opened the library, but the whole world to me. He made me adventurous in what I've read and read, where I've traveled, and to continue my education, lifelong learning. And of course, I've continued to be a library patron throughout the world, no matter where I've lived, and he inspired me to join and to stay on the St. John's Public Library's board for more than a decade and counting. A new library was built in Stephenville in 1991, and so many of us assumed it would be called the Gilbert Higgins Library. but the kinsmen had their way, and it remains the Kinvale Public Library. My slight bitterness at that is tempered by the memory of Gilbert telling me that his biggest compliment was when he helped a child with some project, and they would look at him and say, "Thank you, Mr. Kinvale." So that's my own small personal story about the power of libraries and the special people that work within them. Even and perhaps especially in small towns in architecturally uninteresting buildings, where the world seems far away and the library helps to bring it closer. And so, in the interesting and important history of Huckins, I believe Michael Crummey might have encountered, might even become the equivalent of Gilbert Haines. And that's changed not only your world, but it's changed the entire world. That's so fantastic. The Dublin Literary Award recognizes this power of libraries. And so I offer my sincere congratulations on behalf of the board and my heartfelt thanks and deep respect to Bonnie. Too bad about the winter set. But for those of us that love libraries, this is a richer prize.
In every way.
Thank you all for coming. Thanks for sharing this evening with us. Thank you for your kind attention. Enjoy.
Next, we have Bonnie Morgan, who currently works as the Public Services Librarian at the Center for Newfoundland Studies at Memorial University. Prior to this, she worked with the NL Public Libraries for about 10 years in various roles, first as the Children's Librarian, the Director of Library Operations, and then the Newfoundland and Labrador Collections and Services Librarian. During her time with us, she helped nominate Michael's book, The Adversary, and helped make this moment possible. Bonnie is also an accomplished writer. Her recent book, Out on the Trail, along with Ordinary Saints, which won the Event Cleo Award from the Canadian Historical Association, showcased her work as both a historian and storyteller. Please help me welcome Bonnie out to the stage.
One sheet. Thank you, Rachel. In late July 2024, on behalf of Newfoundland and Labrador Public Libraries, I spent a day in my office completing an online form to nominate Michael Crummey as the adversary for the 2025 International Dublin Literary Award. Chairing the Dublin nomination Committee was part of my work as NL Collections and Services Librarian, and deciding annually which book to nominate was a highlight. While under no obligation to do so, NL Public Libraries decided early on that if we were going to participate in the Dublin, as any public library in the world is welcome to do, we would commit to nominating books by local authors. We made it a priority to promote and celebrate writers from Newfoundland and Labrador, whose works we felt could compete on the basis of literary merit with books from anywhere in the world. And thank you, Michael. There are rules and regulations, conditions around Dublin nominations. Only public libraries can put forward titles, one per year. Sometimes a book is nominated by several different public libraries, and that's okay. Only fiction is eligible. Books must be published within certain timeframes. Authors, publishers, and agents cannot nominate titles, nor can they lobby a public library. And they do try. During my time at NL Public Libraries, there were a few local authors who found out, to their sorrow, that by requesting a nomination, they had made their book ineligible. Humility is a virtue when it comes to the Dublin. I was invited here tonight to explain how we went about nominating this year's winner. Well, the process was the same as every other year. There is a 3-person committee made up of 1, the NL Collections Librarian as chair. The second is the head of the Center for Newfoundland Studies at Memorial University, Colleen Field, who's with us. And the third member of the committee is one other NLPL librarian as selected by the chair. And I had invited Alyssa Griffiths, who is our acting adult fiction and social media librarian, to join the committee last year. The 3 of us met in early June to come up with a short list of 3 titles. And then we took a few weeks to read or reread them before coming to an agreement about which one to nominate. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering what the other 2 books were. Well, I can tell you they were great books too. But The Adversary had one advantage that cemented our final decision. It had been named NLPL's Must-Read Book of the Year as part of our 2024 Love Our Local Authors celebrations. That year, we had decided to move away from the NL Reads 4 books in competition online voting model. Instead, we relied on a combination of circulation rates, the expertise of public librarians and staff, as well as the enthusiasm of public library users that all combined to crown the must-read book. We compiled survey data from librarians and frontline staff about the top circulating new NL books to find out which title they and readers from their communities were most excited about. Feedback came in from public libraries all around our province. There was one especially gushing survey that came in from central Newfoundland about the pride of Buckins. And I think we can all guess which library said that. So when it comes to the Dublin, NL Public Libraries have made, and I'm sure will continue to make it a priority to nominate books by Newfoundland and Labrador writers. They do this to recognize the great storytelling traditions and love of language that have helped this place produce so many remarkable and award-winning writers. Writers celebrated locally, but also across Canada and around the world. By making The Adversary NLPL's 2024 Must-Read Book of the Year, Newfoundlanders and Labradorians showed that they are not just great storytellers, but they know how to spot a good story too. So, how do you go about nominating a title worthy of winning the International Dublin Literary Award? For myself, Colleen, and Alyssa, the answer was twofold. Start by loving your local authors. and finish by trusting the reading public of Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
Now, we'd also like to mention that we've received a few pre-recorded messages from fellow authors that we'll be sharing with Michael after the event. But we did have one special congratulations message from the Buckins Public Library, library that we'd love to share. So, just see if I can get this working. Technical difficulties. So it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. We'll try again in a little bit. And we'll just move on until we wait for it to hear, or for it to start. So next up, we have Lisa Moore. So please welcome Lisa Moore, acclaimed author of Alligator, February, and Caught. Her work has earned her numerous awards and nominations, including the Commonwealth Fiction Prize and a spot on the Man Booker shortlist. A passionate storyteller and professor at Memorial University, Lisa brings the heart of Newfoundland to life at every page. We're thrilled to have her here today.
Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. I want to thank the libraries for this particular library for all the work that they do. I kind of grew up in the children's library downstairs. After school at Pius 10th, I was often found there until my parents got off work at 5 o'clock. And so this place really feels like home to me, and it's incredibly supportive for writers, and that's deeply appreciated. And of course, congratulations, Michael. I feel incredibly fortunate to count you among my friends. Michael has done a lot to help me in my writing career. For instance, Once Michael Crummey talked me out of writing a biography about Joni Mitchell. He didn't mean to talk me out of it. I'd already signed the contract. In fact, he was really excited about it, excited for the project. He said, "So where are you going to start? I guess you'll start with clouds." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "An album?" And I said, "Huh." Okay, he said, "Not chronological then, experimental, I guess. So what? Chord Spark? Both sides now?" "I know that one," I said. He said, "Huh." So the next day I phoned my publisher and said, "Get me out of that contract." My husband said, "Yeah, he really knows Joni Mitchell. Not bad either on Fleetwood Mac. Really knows Tusk." I don't know how many of you know that album. None of you. Michael does. And he does a killer rendition, this is from my husband, of Dylan's Sweetheart Like You. So when we're done, let's ask him to give us that. Well, I might not know about Joni or Fleetwood Mac, and I can't carry a tune, but I know Michael Crummey's work. Like everyone else in this room, I've read every single book hot off the press. I was at Woody Point, I guess it was in 2022, when Martha Kenya Forstner was there, and I ran into her in a cafe, and she was sitting alone at a table with a big manuscript and a pen. I said, "What's that?" She said, "That's Michael's new book." "How is it?" I said, knowing full well how it was. I knew because I could see the look on her face. She looked as if she had been wrenched with great force from one world to another, blinking the cafe into existence. She was dazzled. "It's brilliant," she said. And that was The Adversary. I once wrote an introduction to Michael's book, Hard Light, and I said, it is an homage to Newfoundland past, a fervent wish to rescue it from darkness, to render its voices, to make it speak. The Adversary is a fervent wish to rescue us from the future, though it does it through the past, to save us from the alt-right spreading like a plague or a wildfire across the globe, despite efforts to stop it. In Hard Light, there's a story about a child snipping a dog's tongue so that it can speak, believing the surgery will allow the dog to talk. In The Adversary, the midwife, Mary Orem, tells the widow Kane that when she assisted in her birth, she also performed an operation on the widow Kane's tongue that had grown into the bottom of her jaw. She could not breastfeed, so Mary Orem snipped the tongue free. She tells the widow that if she had not snipped the tongue free, the widow would never have been able to speak. Then Mary Orem admits she might be regretting it. The question that rises then is who gets to have a voice? And who is silenced through brute power? And a more subtle question, who is willing to exercise their right to speak, even in the face of brute power? And who can stand up? The Adversary is a mesmeric fever dream of rage against injustice. Michael is bearing witness to the present moment. He's making the myth that we are safe here from fascism, from the alt-right, from kleptocracy, from brute power. He's making it clear that that myth, that we are safe, is a fallacy. He does this by using two tin cans held together by a string. You know, we all did that when we were children. And one tin is to his ear, and the other is to a wall. And through that wall, he can hear with uncanny clarity the voices and cadence and dialect and vocabulary of the 19th century Newfoundland. He is able to hear it and transmit it to us. What magic. He is a poet but he is one, and this is rare, who has a grip on narrative tension, the shape of a story, and his writing, all of it, is full of orality. We hear the story even as we see it. And see it, we do. For there are images in this book that we will never forget. And it's the materiality of the language, the sheer wash of it, the welcome deluge that salvages the past, resurrects it, just on the brink of being forgotten or lost. It's the oral quality of this writing, along with the vivid and sometimes terrifying imagery, so as well as the characters, who are two monsters of biblical proportions. Two monsters, the likes of which are roving the world today, just barely defeated in Germany, in France, in Brazil, and in Canada, and running amok in many other places, causing unspeakable horror in Palestine and in Ukraine, in so many other places. And these are the monsters to which we are not immune. These portraits of Abe Strapp and the widow Payne are our early warning system, the wake up call from the fever dream and from complacency. So, well done, Michael, and thank you.
Now, to the man of the hour, Michael Crummey is one of Canada's most celebrated literary voices, known for his masterfully crafted novels and deep connection to the province. Born in Buckets, raised in Wabush, Labrador, and now living in St. John's, he began his writing career with poetry and short fiction before gaining national acclaim as a novelist. His award-winning books include Galore, Sweetland, The Innocents, and most recently, The Adversary. Also, a little fun fact, NL Public Libraries has 71 copies of The Adversary. And I checked just before this event started. All of them are either checked out or on hold. So I think it's safe to say, Michael, The Adversary is a definite hit. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Michael Crummey, the 2025 winner of the Dublin Literary Award.
Thank you all so much for being here tonight. I hope you can hear me. I didn't prepare anything, which is kind of stupid now. I have been talking about myself a lot recently. And I thought I might be able to wing it, so we'll see how it goes. I want to start by thanking the Newfoundland and Labrador Public Libraries, of course. Not just for nominating this book, and for nominating several other of my books for this award in the past, and for nominating Newfoundland books every year. After I won in Dublin, a number of people who are involved with the Dublin Prize came up to tell me how the Newfoundland and Labrador Public Libraries are among the most consistent nominators that they've had over the 30 years of the award. And that means so much to the writers here, and means, of course, so much to me as well. So not just for that, though, but for being such a part of my life. The Buckins Public Library, as I've said on a number of occasions recently, I would not be here today without that library. Saturday mornings were spent at the library. I can still put myself in the corner on the floor where I spent hours on Saturday mornings reading books. I spent 4 years across the street in Bowater House, and I spent a lot of the time that I was in Bowater over here in this library as well. And so, like Lisa, this place feels very much like home to me. And people will notice we didn't get to hear the message, but you saw the Crummey corner. I won a small award the year that the provincial government had suggested they were going to cut libraries, which seemed to me like an unbelievably stupid thing to be thinking. Small communities, in every community, but especially in small communities, libraries are a window on the world, and they're central to a community's sense of itself. So when I won that award, I donated it, kind of as a statement about the importance of libraries, to the Buckets Public Library. So they took that money and they bought a couple of country chairs and created Crummey Corner. It's funny, you know, when you grow up with a name like Michael Crummey, you never expect anything to be named after. And now I see why that's a bad idea. Yeah, that place was so important to me growing up, and it's winning this award in many ways felt like a full circle thing for me to be recognized by an award that was started by and is run by public libraries around the world. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. I just want to thank everybody who spoke here today, the people who are involved in picking this book to nominate it. Lisa Moore, who I have been a jealous admirer of for 30 years now, I'd say. Hasn't Lisa been that long at least? Yes. Right from the start. My Aunt Helen, God rest her, she was somebody who, like, you just can't say anything or do anything against the family, you know? And every year I had a book come out, that Lisa had a book come out, she would be so pissed off at Lisa Moore. She's doing it on purpose. She's the one winning all the awards. And I have to admit that I was kind of thinking the same thing. Would you just leave me alone? It's been an amazing experience to be part of the Newfoundland art scene, and the Newfoundland literary scene in particular. When I moved home about 25 years ago, there were a whole crowd of us who were just starting to publish. We'd all been writing for years at that point, but we were just starting to publish, and we were just starting to go on book tours, and we were just starting to be nominated for awards. And it felt like I was part of a groundswell. And I was surrounded by and was recognized as one of an astonishing group of amazing artists. And that has been one of the real pleasures of my life, to be seen as one of that group. And to be part of what Andy Jones calls our great galoot of culture. And it does, I mean, it's easy to say this when you're the person standing up here, but it does feel like this is an award that belongs to all of us, to a certain extent. And it could have been one of a dozen other writers who ended up in this place. I'm particularly thrilled that it's me. I have been spending money like my hair is on fire. I keep getting notices from Visa saying, there's been a suspicious purchase. And that's because any purchase on my card is suspicious. I also want to thank my wife, Holly, who has been in my corner for 20 years now, and has made a lot of what has happened in my life as a writer possible, just by making space for me and by encouraging me. And I said this just a couple of days ago on the CBC. Holly's also a writer, as you know. I feel like this this award came along at just the right time in our lives, because I was nominated for the Winter Set, and I did not win it, because Holly won it. And we've been doing events together, and they were starting to advertise them as an evening with one of Newfoundland's finest writers and her husband. So I feel like this has redressed the balance a little bit in our lives. But it's been a, well, having you in my life has been everything. And thank you for being part. I don't think I have anything else I wanted to say. Is there anything else I should be saying? No? It's good? Okay. All right. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to the libraries for everything you do. And God bless and keep reading. Thank you so much.
Next, we have the Saltwater Strings. Saltwater Strings is a dynamic duo formed in 2013 by Dominique Green and Brett Bay. Since then, they've performed extensively throughout St. John's and surrounding communities, bringing a unique blend of classical and contemporary sounds to local audiences. Violinist Dominique Green hails from St. John's and currently serves as assistant concertmaster and personal manager of the Newfoundland Symphony Orchestra. He also shares his expertise as a string coach and assistant conductor with the Kilos Youth Orchestra. Brett Bay, originally from Sunnyside, Newfoundland, is a versatile musician and entrepreneur. He's the owner of the Music Box, a private music school, and Achieve Media, a recording studio dedicated to supporting local talent. Tonight they'll be performing some lovely pieces for us tonight. And again, thank you all for coming to this event and celebrating with us. Now we can let the music flow, the conversations happen, and please help yourselves to food and drinks that are over there as well. And enjoy the rest of this beautiful evening.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.